Hello, this is Tom Aiken from Pathfinder. Welcome to this workshop designed to help you make better decisions using a risk assessment process. This workshop is intended to teach you how to use Pathfinder's decision-making risk assessment tool. While you don't need to download the tool right now, here's the URL to Pathfinder's free tool page. Just find the Pathfinder Decision-Making Risk Assessment tool, click to download it, and it will open in a new window with the tool in a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to walk you through the use of this valuable tool using a decision-making scenario, which is fairly common in today's business environment. Often, great ideas are never acted upon because of their fear of failure. In this scenario, you'll have an idea which can provide a 10% increase in performance in your department if you implement it. However, you're uncertain as to whether you'll be successful because Ed, an influential team member, may not support your idea. Your fear is his influence over the team members may have a negative effect on their willingness to make the change you're proposing. It's always best to stick to the facts and evaluate your assumptions when uncertainty is a factor in your decision to take a specific course of action. Pathfinder's decision-making risk assessment tool is a great place to start. In step 1, you simply put a brief description of the decision, plan, or action you're thinking about. Step 2 will take a little more thought. In this step, you want to define the different levels of possible consequences of failure. I've already filled in the possible consequences for this scenario. You may want to pause the presentation at this point to take a closer look. An important insight you can recognize here is that success and failure are never black and white. As the different levels of consequences listed here indicate, if complete success is not possible, partial success might be, and there may still be opportunity down the road to continuously improve upon your initial successes. In step 3, select the result that will most likely happen if you were to just simply take action today. There's a drop-down box which lists the consequences you entered earlier. This leads to step 4, in which you use another drop-down box to select the probability the consequence you chose in step 3 will occur. Remembering that nothing is ever certain, your intuition will probably steer you in the right direction at this point. In the example scenario, I thought the most likely outcome would be that Ed will resist the idea enough to reduce the performance improvement from 10 to 5% in steps 3. And in step 4, I felt there was a moderate chance this would occur. These inputs resulted in an initial risk assessment score of 17, which also represents a medium risk. You can see how this score was determined by cross-referencing the consequence I chose, which is moderate, with the moderate probability in the risk assessment matrix, which resulted in a score of 17. Now let's stop here for a second and evaluate this. If you were to invest the time and effort into implementing your idea, would it be acceptable to you that the most likely result is half of the 10% increase in performance your idea represents? It's possible that you're okay with this. Perhaps you recognize the opportunity to continue to work with your team on improving in the long term. If this is the case, go ahead to step 5 and select yes. The instruction there tells you to proceed with your decision, plan, or action. But what if a 5% improvement is not acceptable to you? What if you believe you can improve your plan now and get a better performance improvement in the short term? In this case, select no in step 5. Step 5 now provides opportunities for us to input some ideas on how we can improve the probability that our idea will be successful. In other words, we want to decrease the probability that Ed will have a negative influence on our idea. I've input a modification to the plan in the first line for our example scenario. Now let's evaluate how effective we think that modification will be. Let's say we believe talking with Ed about the idea and trying to get his support prior to implementing it will reduce the probability that he'll have enough of a negative influence to reduce the effectiveness of the idea. And let's say we thought it would go from a moderate chance to a low chance as indicated in step 6. Again, we need to ask ourselves whether the risk associated with our plan is acceptable. If it is, then we should select yes to the question at the end of step 6. The tool will then advise us to implement our plan. If we still aren't happy with the plan and its probability of success, we can select no to the question at the end of step 6. In this case, the tool advises us to go back to step 5 and continue to improve our plan. Here you can see I've added 2 more modifications to the plan. I feel so confident these additional investments in time and effort will pay off. I've reduced the probability to reflect there is virtually no chance of Ed's influence having a negative impact on the results. The current plan significantly reduces the risk assessment, which indicates I'll have a higher probability of success. We're happy with this, so we select yes in step 6, and we're ready to take action. The key points and insights I encourage you to walk away from are that we should always challenge our initial assumptions we make with regard to whether we'll be successful in any effort, and that uncertainty can be reduced by figuring out how to prove those assumptions wrong by changing the initial idea or plan prior to implementing it. The intent of using a risk assessment process when you're making critical decisions is to help you recognize the actions you can take to achieve success, rather than letting the uncertainty associated with other people and other factors in your work environment influence your actions. By focusing on what you can control, your own thoughts and actions, you can find the conviction to take actions that will contribute to your success. If this workshop was helpful, I invite you to subscribe to the Pathfinder blog or connect on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter and provide your feedback. If you're facing a challenge you feel is too complex for the Pathfinder decision-making risk assessment tool and you're unsure of what to do next, then feel free to contact me directly via phone or email. The first consultation is always free. Remember, the solution begins with you. Lead well, my friends.